Okay, we are picking up two lines before it gets wide, before the middle wide sections on Daf Lamed Vav Amud Beis. So the Gemara says there's a new topic now, relatively new topic. So we're going into again what brachos are we making on different types of fruits, on different types of foods. So the Gemara says, pilpuli, when you have these pepper berries, Rav Sheshes Samar Shahakal, Rav Sheshes says you make a shahakal on it, Rav Amar Lo Klum, and Rav says you don't make anything on it at all. And the reason why he says that you don't make anything on it at all is because Rava holds that pepper berries are inedible. So if you have something that's inedible, you don't make a brach on it. And Va'az Rava Tamin, Rava goes, where do we see that Rava goes according to this reasoning that he holds that pepper berries are inedible and therefore you don't make a brach on it? Dama Rava, that Rava said, Kas pilpuli biyami de kipuri pater, that if someone chews and swallows pepper berries on Yom Kippur, he's pater. That normally the halacha is that if someone eats something on Yom Kippur, he's chayiv kares. So if someone eats these pepper berries, because Rava holds they're inedible, so it's not like you're eating anything, so therefore he says that you're going to be pater, so that's the same reason why he holds that you don't make a brach on them if you eat them. And also another halacha that's similar to that, kas zan gvila, if you have ginger, b'yom kippur pater, if someone is chewing on ginger on Yom Kippur, he's also going to be pater because also he holds that ginger is also not considered to be let's see, Rabbi Silver can just he can point and talk at the same time. I can't. So he holds that ginger is similar to pepper berries, that they're inedible, and therefore, if you chew them on Yom Kippur, you're not going to be chayiv. You're not going to be chayiv. Meistre, so the Gemara asks a question according to Rava that says that he says that a pepper berry is inedible. So the Gemara asks a question from Rabbi. So Hayir Meir Omer Mimash Mishinemar. It says in the pasuk Faraltam or Lasso Spero that that there's halacha we discussed already a few days last week. We discussed halacha of arla. You're not allowed to eat the fruit of arla. So the Gemara says it says in the pasuk you can't eat the fruit of the arla tree. So any odesh eats ma'achalu. So by saying you can't eat the fruit of the arla tree, so we know it must be, what kind of tree is it? It must be a fruit tree. So therefore, elamata malomer eats ma'achal. So therefore, the Gemara asks, why does it have to say further in the pasuk eats ma'achal, that it's a tree that gives fruit? We said you can't eat from a fruit tree, so we know it's a fruit tree. Why do you have to repeat that it's a fruit tree? So the Gemara answers, lahavi eitz shatam eitzo upir yoshav. It's coming to include in a halacha of arla that you're not able to eat from it is a tree that the wood and the fruit both taste the same. And what tree is that? Vezahu, and what tree is that? Zal pipelin, these are pepper. This is the pepper tree. So l'lam dechashal pipelin chayav be'arla, that, and it teaches you that for peppers you are chayav to the same restrictions of arla, that you're not allowed to eat from them for the first 3 years. And also another thing that it teaches you is, just as an aside, l'lam decha she'ein Eretz Yisrael chaser klum, that Eretz Yisrael is, if we ever doubted it, that Eretz Yisrael is not missing anything. Shenemar Eretz asher lo b'miskenus tochal ba'lechem lo sechzer kol ba, that you're able to eat bread without any poverty, and you're not going to be lacking anything in it. But meantime, what do we see from here? We see that the peppers are considered to be edible because we say that it's subject to the halachas of arla. If it's subject to arla, it must be that it's an edible food. So there's a question on Rav who said before that you're not going to be chayiv because it's an inedible fruit. The Gemara says, "Lo kasha, that's not a question." Habiritfisa. That depends. The brisa which said that you're chayiv to arla is talking about when the peppers are moist. So when they're moist, then they're considered to be edible. And the brisa which talked about when Rava said that it's inedible and you're not going to make a brach on it, that's talking about when it's dried up. When it's dried up, then that's not something that you're able to eat, and therefore he holds that you would not make a brach on it. So I asked now another question on Rava. We said before about this, that Rava said that if you chew this ginger on Yom Kippur, that you're going to be pater. So we asked him, did he really say that you're going to be pater because it's inedible? Rava said, Hi hamlata de asya hinduye sharia, that if you have this type of, it's a paste of some kind that comes from India, you're able to eat it. It's a paste that is made up of ginger. It has ginger in it. So he says if you you're able to, it's permitted, meaning that we don't worry about bishul akum, that we're not afraid that if a guy cooks it, that it's going to be usher to you. We consider that it's that because it can be eaten in its raw form. So mevarchin Allah bari priyadam, you make a bari priyadam on it. So you see that Rava holds that raw ginger is an edible food. So why did he say before that it's something that's inedible and that you're not going to be able to, and you don't make a bracha on it? So Gemara says the same answer you gave before. Lo kasha, it's not a question. Habrit visa, v'habi yabeshta, that The Mishnah, the Brisa, which talks about that you're able to that you're not have to worry about Bishul Akum, is talking about when it was moist. When it's moist, again, as we said, it's edible. You're able to eat it. And the other Brisa, where Rava said that you don't have to make it, that you don't make a bracha on it because it's inedible, is talking about where it already dried up. Okay, relatively new segment now. So the Gemara says, Chavetz Kedera. If you have chavetz, which we're going to discuss what that is, v'chein daisa, and also you have daisa. So again, these are different types of foods which you have. It's a type of porridge that had a mixture of flour, honey, and oil. Okay, so the question is going to be, what bracha do we make on this? What do we consider to be? The Gemara is going to go now, and it's going to be leading into when you have something where you have two types of ingredients that are in a food. When do you say that you look at what the tuffle is, and when do you say what the ikr is? That you make a bracha on the ikr, you make a bracha on the main ingredient, and then you kind of cast aside the other one. You don't have to make a bracha on the other one. So if you have this type of porridge, Rav Yehuda Amar Shahakol Ni'abidvaru, he says you make a shahakol on it. Rav Kahana Amar Bari Minei Mizonos, you make a Bari Minei Mizonos, and the Gemara is going to explain now. It's going to go into detail on this machlokas. But daisa greater, when you have just plain daisa, kuliyama lo pligi, the Bari Minei Mizonos, that you have just plain porridge, which you're going to make a Bari Minei Mizonos because the main ingredient is going to be the flour that's in there. Ki pligi, but daisa kein chavetz kedeiron. You have this porridge that is made like some sort of potted chavetz, which has a lot of honey in it. So really, in that case, the honey. Well, the Gemara is going to say now. So Rav Yehuda Amar Shahakol. Rav Yehuda says you make a shahakol on it. Why? Because Savar Duvsha Ikr. He holds that the honey is the main ingredient that you have in the food. And Rav Kahana Amar Bari Minei Mizonos, to make a Bari Minei Mizonos. Savar Smadar Ikr, because he holds that the flour is the main ingredient, and therefore you'd make a Bari Minei Mizonos on it. Amar Rav Yosef Kvasid Rav Kahana Mistavra, and probably we hold like Rav Kahana, to Rav Shmuel Dami Travayu, Kol Sheyesh Ba Mechamesh Hasaminim, anything that you have from the 5 grains, from the 5 species of grains, you make a Bari Minei Mizonos. So you have, again, none of these are like, I'm not passing halach over here. That Rabbi Silber can do that when he's giving the shir. But if you have this flour, honey, and oil, the Gemara is saying at this point you'd make a Bari Minei Mizonos on it. Okay, so we are now up to 3 lines from the bottom of Chaf Vav and Beis. We're at the 2 dots. We're going to go now into this Chamesh Saminim. Kufa, Rav Shmuel Dami Travaya, they both said, Kol Sheyesh Ba Mechamesh Saminim, if you have any of the 5 species of grains, which are wheat, barley, oats, rye, and spelt, if you have any of those 5 grains, you make a Bari Minei Mizonos on it. The Idmar Namu, you also learned, Rav Shmuel Dami Travayu, Kol Shu Mechamesh Saminim, Bari Minei Mizonos. Again, a very similar thing to what we just learned, but we said also that if you have anything that has in it the chamesh haminim, you make a Bari Minei Mizonos on it. So the Gemara is saying, why do we have to mention both? Where is it here? Kol shehu mechamesh hasaminim, and we also have to mention kol sheyesh ba mechamesh hasaminim. The Gemara is going to differentiate between what the two is. Utzricha, we needed to have both of these cases. The ashminim kol shehu, because if I would have only told you that Rav and Shmuel say that you make a mizonos when you have that when it is the chamesh haminim havamina mishum de isi be'enim, but that's because the grain is right there. You're able to see it. So therefore, when the grain is right there, you make a Bari Minei Mizonos. But let's say you have a mixture and you're mixing the grains in with other things, and you're maybe not going to be able to discern what it is. Then in that case, maybe they would agree that you don't make a Bari Minei Mizonos on it. Kamash Malan. So therefore, we said Kol Sheyesh Bo to tell you that even if it has from the ingredients that's in there, you're still also going to make a Bari Minei Mizonos in that situation. The Yashmin and Kol Sheyesh Bo, and if the Gemara would have just said that Kol Sheyesh Bo Chamesh Hasaminim, then I would have said Havamina Kol Sheyesh Bo Chamesh Hasaminim, in that anything that has the 5 minim, yes, the ones that we just mentioned a minute ago, those would be, you would make a Bari Minei Mizonos. Aval Oretz V'Dochin Lo, but you would not make a Bari Minei Mizonos on Oretz or Dochin, which we're going to translate that as being combined. We're going to call it rice. Okay, we would have said that for rice, you don't make a Bari Minei Mizonos. Why? Mishum de al yudei taruz, because then it's mixed up. Aval isa be'ene, but if you have oriz and dochen in its pure form, if you have it when it's not mixed up in anything else, ne'ema fil oriz v'dochen nami, I would say that also for oriz and dochen, you would also make a Bari Minei Mizonos. You would make a Bari Minei Mizonos on it. Kamash Malon. So therefore, Rav and Shmuel are teaching us Kol Shu Mechamesh Hasaminim Hud Mevarchen Al Bari Minei Mizonos. That anything that is the 5 species that we mentioned, those 5, you make a Bari Minei Mizonos on it. But lafuke eros v'dochen, but to exclude rice, again, types of rice that you don't, that if you have it in its pure form, mixed without being mixed with anything else, you do not make a brayim and mezonos on it. So right now, this Gemara holds that rice, even though halach l'maisa, we do hold that for rice, you do make a brayim and mezonos on it when you're eating it. But right now, the Gemara is saying that you do not make a brayim and mezonos on rice. So again, we don't pass on like this, and the Gemara is going to go through a series of questions now, trying to determine what brach you would make on it. So the Gemara asks, do you not make a brayim and mezonos on this rice? Vatanya, we learned in a brisa, hevi lefan of pas or is a pas dochen. If they brought before someone this rice, again rice bread or dochen bread, which is millet. What's it called?
Yeah.
Millet? Is that? Again, if we'd be discussing candy bars or donuts, I'd be, I would have no questions on what this is. But when we talk the raw ingredients, that's not my thing. Okay, so again, we'll just refer to rice right now. But anyway, so hevi lefan of pas or is a pas dochen. If you bring this rice bread or this dochen bread, so you make a bracha at the beginning and the end like you would a ma'aseh kedera. And what bracha do we make on ma'aseh kedera? We got ma'aseh kedera tani, we learned in a brayso. So what bracha do we make? In the beginning you make a brayim mezonos, and the end you make an al nichya. So you see that if you bring this rice bread in front of someone, you make a brayim mezonos. So how did the Gemara just say a couple of lines ago that you don't make a brayim mezonos on rice? We see that you do. That's what the brayso is showing us. So the Gemara answers, K'ma'aseh kedera v'lo k'ma'aseh kedera. It's like a ma'aseh kedera, and it's not like it's like again. We started off with this porridge. It's like the porridge, and it's not like the porridge. It's like the porridge. The ilu b'ma'aseh kedera by the porridge. B'tchila barim name is zonos ulb'sof racha achas meit sholosh. In the beginning you make a barim name is zonos, and in the end you make an alamichya. But it's not the ilu hacha. But here in the case where you have this rice bread that they brought before you, you do not make a brayim and zonos. But in the beginning, this Gemara holds that you would make a shahakol on the rice bread. You make a brayim nefashos rabas chasron, which is the bracha that you make on anything that you make a shahakol on. You would make a brayim nefashos. And again, I think that psak halacha, I believe that the halacha is that when you're eating rice, you do make just a brayim nefashos, not just, but you make a brayim nefashos afterwards to exclude that you don't make an al michya afterwards. So Gemara asks another question now. Who are you going to say that rice is not considered ma'aseh kedera? Because again, we differentiated between it. We said that for orez, that for the chamesh saminim, you may that it's like ma'aseh kedera, and that you make a bracha before him, but you don't make him a zono. So Gemara asks, orez lav ma'aseh kedera who? Vatani, we learned in another brisa. Elu hein ma'aseh kedera. What is considered to be ma'aseh kedera? So you take. It's all talking about different types of what you did with the grain. Now, chilka. You have this chilka, which is split either. These are just different ways that you would split the grain. So chilka means you split it in half. Targus means you split it into thirds. Solus, you made a fine flour out of it. Zaris, you made it into quarters. Va'arsan, or you split it into fifths. Again, it's just different ways that you split it up. And the last thing it says, va'ores. And the last thing it's talking about is ores. So you see that ores is considered to be ma'aseh kedera. So why did we say before that it's like ma'aseh kedera, but it's not, and that to differentiate the bracha, this price right here says that that it's considered to be a type of ma'aseh kedera. So Gemara answers, Hamani, Rabbi Yochanan Menuri here. It's going like Rabbi Yochanan Menuri. The Tanya Rabbi Yochanan Menuri goes all the way to the other side. He says, the Tanya Rabbi Yochanan Menuri Omer, Ores mean daganhu, that Ores is one of the species of grains that we have, just like the Chamesh Aminim. And what does that mean? Which means that if you have it on Pesach, you're chayav kares, which again the Rabbanan say that it's nothing. And Rabbi Yochanan Menuri says you're chayav kares. And if a person would make a matzah out of this before Pesach, you could use this orez matzah to be Yotzir Chiyuv for a matzah, which again is the complete opposite of what we had just been saying before. Aval Rabbanan Lo, but the Rabbanan hold that they don't consider it to be like one of the Chamesh Saminim, and therefore they hold that you would not be Chayiv Karis if you ate it on Pesach, and they certainly hold that you cannot use it to be Yotzir Chiyuv to eat matzah on Pesach. So Gemara asks, Rabbanan Lo, do the Rabbanan hold that you don't make a mezonos when you have this orez? But Tanya, we learned in a brisa, Hakobe says if someone's chewing raw wheat. So again, raw wheat in its raw form, it grows from the ground. Before you do anything to it, it's a hadama. So if someone's chewing raw wheat, you make a bari pri adama on it. Let's say someone ground it up into flour, then he baked it, and then he cooked it. So if he did all those three things to it, if you're able to see the bread after you finish doing this process, so then then it's like bread. It's not like it is bread, and you make hamotzi. And at the end you're going to bench. And if the pieces are not, if it got so mixed up, they're not able to discern any bread pieces, any bread identity. So to make mizonos, and in the end you make an alamichya. Hakabi says and if someone is chewing and swallowing, so that was for if someone was doing wheat. Now Hakabi says if someone is chewing orez, which is someone's chewing rice, you make hadama just like we said before with the wheats. Tachno afo bishlo, if you ground it up into flour and you baked it and then you cooked it, afo pisha prusos kayamos, even though you're able to see the pieces, and in the end, you in the beginning you make a mizonos, and in the end you're going to make an alamichya. So Mani, who's this going like? Elaim Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri. If you want to say it's going like Rabbi Yochanan ben Nuri before that we said before that you could use it on Pesach. Then the Amar Ori's min dagan who hamatzilach min haaretz v'shalosh brachos bari beruchei. Then you shouldn't be able to get away with just making the mizonos. You should have to make a hamotzi, and then you should have to bench afterwards. Elalav Rabbanan he elamai must be going like the Rabbanan who said that the orez is not like the chameshes haminim, and then you see that you still make a mizonos on it, not that you make the shahakal that we said before. But you have to Rav Shmuel, that is a question on Rav Shmuel, and therefore we slug up what they have been saying, and we hold that you would be making a mizonos on it. We will stop here.